Give me one moment, please. And we are live. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Holy Crap, the Vlogcast. Vlogcast comes from a skeptical point of view to answer some of the questions of why. This Vlogcast started as a combination of spite and the Streisand effect, and for anybody that's watching on YouTube who's wondering what the heck is going on, don't worry, I'll explain it in a couple of moments. It may actually make sense even. And part of this is to follow through with the old adage that sometimes the journey is more important than the destination. I'm your main host. I'm known as Shujin Tribble, and you can find me pretty much everywhere under that name. That's Shujin. Good to be with you. It's going to be a little bit of a different one, and like I said, I'll explain momentarily. At the moment, I'm not currently in the typical host production room over on Discord. Kind of moved a little bit over into the general purpose voice chat area, basically because I'm the only one that showed up and we're past start time, so it's kind of the way that it works. However, being that that's worked out that way, I've opened it up to pretty much anybody that shows up. And at the moment, joining me right now from points unknown out to the left coast, expat from Canada, Io has decided to join me tonight. So, good evening.
Hi.
And I need to turn your audio down just a hair. I didn't do...
Figures.
No, not a worry. Being that the audio setup is a little bit different over here on Discord and through OBS, I didn't get the opportunity of doing anything to tinker with stuff, so I'll work on that. So, Io, why don't you introduce yourself and give everybody a quick synopsis who you are, what you're doing, why you're drinking heavily tonight.
I'm not drinking heavily just yet. Actually, I'm working on my supper. Just got back from a really good D&D session. I'm one of your hosts on Friday for your show that day, and I've just been a fan of yours for a couple years now. So, squee!
It's all good. So, yeah, it's entirely possible things are going to get weird, because every once in a while we do get, I believe the correct term for it is troll accounts that pop in on the chat and decide that they're going to go ahead and try to have a little fun. It's been a while since it's last happened, so who knows? We'll see what happens. For those of you that would like to join us, of course, as we do this over on YouTube, feel free to join us, and you can be part of the live chat over there, which in this case normally would have been Io, but Io's with me right now and probably doing double duty, so all well and good. Stephanie, thank you for joining, and of course, Felis, guys, thank you. I know I did not get my show announcement out in a timely fashion. I went to sleep last night after the Friday night show, and then all of a sudden, I go to sleep. I wake up sometime in the 8:30-ish a.m. time, which, you know, normally during the week I would wake up around 7 to get ready for work. 8:30 is when I would normally be starting work, so I got up. I had myself a long shower just because I just wanted, And then all of a sudden, I go back to sleep just to, just chill, relax. Next thing I know, I'm getting a knock on my door that I thought was still in a dream, and little one's waking me up at 4:30. Hey, are we going out? Oh, I kind of needed to sleep a little bit more, didn't I? Well, sometimes that happens, and well, that's what happened this time. So, my apologies. I will do a much better job, I hope, of being here with y'all. And over there on the chat, Seeker, you made it. How the hell are you? It's not going to matter because by the time you go ahead and type anything, it's going to be buffered out just a little bit. Io, anything that you want to say before I get rolling over here and do my opening and then jump into stuff?
Yeah, I need that one special link that I normally have on my broadcasting computer because I'm sitting at my normal computer. So I don't have that link. So, yeah.
I will have to see what I can do about that. It's going to be a little bit more interesting to try to do because I'm not sure how to get that over to you. There is a way I can do it. It's just going to take me a little bit of time. So we will.
Well, you've got your 5-minute rant, so I can go and run and do it for myself.
Fair enough. All right, we'll do that, and then we'll run how things end up. So let me go ahead and do that. So
Okay.
with 5 minutes on the clock, your 5-minute freestyle starts right now. EARTHRISE. It's a term that's making the rounds again after a very long time, and of course there's reasons for it. I've got a couple of reasons for it. EARTHRISE is the name that had been given to a very incredibly famous photograph that was taken December 24, 1968 by Apollo 8 astronaut William Anders. Now, for anyone that's keeping track of it, William Anders is a name that's popping up into the news circles because, unfortunately, he just recently passed as of this week. He had a crash in an aircraft, a smaller aircraft, but he was one of the few that was left from the Apollo program, unfortunately. EARTHRISE is a photograph that was taken with for those that are tech weenies about this kind of thing, it's a modified Hasselblad camera. And for those of you that know anything about photography, Hasselblad is like one of the pinnacle pieces of hardware to use. It's just an amazing piece. Super expensive, super pro. And if you're not a pro, you don't have one of those. And of course, the only reason why Hasselblad was put on for the NASA stuff is because, well, there's a reason it's expensive, and a good portion of it is because it's just so damn good. You're just not going to trust to anything else. EARTHRISE is arguably the most influential photograph ever taken by a human being. And I don't say that lightly. Apollo 8 was the first time that NASA, that humanity, had sent a manned mission around the moon and returned. Just to the moon. Apollo 8 was it. And reminding you that the first time that they orbited the moon was, 1968. And it would only be a scant half year later, a little bit more, that man landed and then returned from the moon. This photograph showing the moon's surface in the foreground and the Earth rising above it in the background is arguably the most comprehensive photograph of humanity. Because save for the 3 people in the capsule, the entirety of humanity was photographed. Everything, everyone that had ever been living and dead, was in that photograph. The entire human species and everything that had ever lived and died on that planet. It's the first time the human had ever photographed it. And it's one of those things that just changes your perspective on everything. Because you have to look at it and go, yeah, man, that's everything. That's everyone. That's everything that has ever been. And this photograph, in my feeling, was only ever trumped, if you pardon the expression, by the pale blue dot photo by Voyager. This wonderful person, this astronaut who took the photograph, he's died. He's one of a handful that are still left from the Apollo era. William Anders is just absolutely one of the luckiest people that could have ever been to be able to get that photograph and then bring it back. And trust me, if you read up on what went on for that film after it came back, you know, it took a road trip after 500,000 miles and to say that Apollo 8 was influential to so many is not putting it lightly either. It's the first time humanity truly ventured forth into the void. And we got a perspective that we never had before by any human. So, William, Mr. Anders, I know the likelihood is that you will never be at this point, but if by some whim of the imagination you could possibly know from all of us who knew you or not, thank you for risking it all to give us something special. Just thank you. Now, before we get into the horrible scopes here in just a moment, there's one other piece I wanted to let you guys know about, and it's got nothing to do with the freestyle. One of the characters that I have portrayed online, I know, give me a break, is you guys have probably seen it somewhere along the line, you know, Icarus the Lunar Guard. And yeah, I'm a furry, I'm a brony, you know, shut up, I know, leave me alone. When I was developing the cutie mark for that character, yeah, it's a My Little Pony thing, shut up. I started doodling an idea that just came into my head because the character just, you know. And I did not realize until I was like 3/4 of the way developing what it was supposed to look like, that it was just kind of falling out of my head. And I'm no artist. It took me a little while to realize that, you know, the design that I was doing was familiar and I couldn't place it. It wasn't immediately intuitively, you know, knowledgeable to me. And then I go to looking at it, and it took a little bit of time. And I know it's like a scene out of Close Encounters of the Third Kind. You know, this means something. And then it finally dawns on me to look at this, and I'm like, wait a minute. I know what this is. And I went looking it up. The mission patch from Apollo 8 is what this mark was that I had been drawing, and I didn't even realize it. I was absolutely dumbfounded. So the idea that you can unconsciously be doodling something that is actually already a thing and you didn't even realize it, oh yeah, absolutely a thing. I had no idea. And then all of a sudden there it is. So even though I was only just barely alive enough to live through Apollo 11, like I said, Apollo 8, damn brave individuals. Well done, guys. Really cool. Anyway, I'm not quite sure who that is. Mumia? I'm not quite sure how to pronounce that, but hi, good evening. Good to see you. I hope you're doing well. Hi, Shu. Hope you got that sleep on your way to bed. Oh, home care has no days off, but I'm going to leave you and fall asleep. And hugs. No worries. You take care of yourself. Glad you're able to be here, even for a little bit. Who knows? You might actually bring stuff in overnight and whatnot. So, Isle, you are back with me at this point? Oh, Ryu. Hi. I did not realize.
Yeah, I'm back.
Alrighty. And you're good to go?
Yeah, I gotta do that again. I have to do the thing again.
Well, that's
You you not only call me out, but yeah, I hope I don't get the second one I had to do.
it's going to be inevitable that you'll end up hitting at least one of them. That's
I know.
that's
I know.
statistics for you.
I know.
So let's go ahead and do this. It's time for the horrible scopes. So for those of you that know what your astrological sign is, cool. Those of you that don't, you can just pick one. I don't really much care. Roll a d12. You want a d12? Get in touch with the nice folks over there that support us. That's Heart of the Game Fredonia. They're the store with the mimic in the... They're supposed to have a... If there's not a mimic in the window, don't go in the shop. It's Heart of the Game Fredonia, home of the Blue Devil. Hail, hail Fredonia. Now, as always, the week's horrible scopes are influenced by real-life events, which means someone saw a product slogan and everything just fell into place from there. And for those of you that have seen the picture, you know exactly what it is. And if you haven't seen it, it's because you're not part of my personal Discord server, and that's okay too. So this week we're giving you some of the worst product slogans and how it relates to your lives. Please take notes, people. You might need them. Aries, with the summer fast approaching for most of you, you might be tempted to take a visit to a store called the Sunglass Shack. We hope that your eyesight is at least 20/35 or better, so you can read the company's slogan on the awning overhead that reads, "Sitting on faces since 2001. The biggest problem is how inaccurate the idea is. Their company isn't the one sitting on faces, the products they sell are, and they don't even make those products themselves. So this week, you have all that you need already. You don't have to go out and just buy stuff to make yourself feel better. At least buy something you need if you do, like a box of salt. Iodized salt, please, get the good stuff.
Taurus. Speaking of things you might need to buy, although not, maybe you'd like to splurge on some carbonated flavored sugar water. Maybe specifically something from Dr. Pepper. Maybe specifically Dr. Pepper 10. And if you do remember that the sales slogan they used was, quote, "It's not for women," they're right. It's not for women or men or anyone. It's been long since discontinued. So this week, you have a tendency to disengage your brain mouth filter. Do yourself a favor and weld it into place this week. You'll thank us later.
Usually works out. Gemini, one of the biggest and most recognizable brands out there comes instantly to mind thanks to 3 little words. I'm loving it. Truth is, that slogan is so incredibly painfully lazy and doesn't tell the consumer anything about what the product is or why they should be buying it. It is meaningless. They don't deserve to get your attention. So this week, oh, and another thing. The French translation of the slogan is roughly, "I'm okay with it." You're a vibrant personality. Don't restrain yourself so much that the people around you are just okay with you.
Cancer Moonchild. Vacation time is almost here. Yay! And remember a couple weeks ago we told you to go to Iceland and check out the Ethiopian restaurant in Fludir? Well, we'd like to consider booking your flight with you bet use
Would you like
please
me to
shoot
say it?
help. Yeah.
Uzbekistan.
Uzbekistan Airways. No, we don't get any kickbacks from them. We just want you to see their company slogan of good luck, as if you need luck to be on a flight with them. So this week, travel sickness pills are basically antihistamines. Buy some. They'll help with the ragweed allergy that's about to hit you right between the sinuses.
I kind of feel that a little bit too much because my contacts have been really dry in my face, and I don't know why. Leo, you remember the famous line from... Now, before I go ahead and read the next part, I want you all to remember this is the actual proper name of the movie, not the shortened version that we keep calling it by. The actual proper name of the movie is The Adventures of Buckaroo Banzai Across the Eighth Dimension. The line was, no matter where you go, there you are. Looks like a nice folks up Canada way were inspired with that because they created the Canadian provincial slogan for New Brunswick, which goes, be in this place. So this week, this slogan is about as zen-like as Ed Gruberman's attempt to learn Kung Fu in a week. You need to be patient as well. Slow down and let things come to you.
Virgo. You know how McDonald's has a bad rap for the ice cream machines, but almost never for the milkshake machine? Well, we're letting you see how they combined a billboard for milkshakes and Help Wanted at the same time. It said, painfully thick, then under that, recruiting now. So this week, we know you like milkshakes. Just make them at home this week and stay home. Watch a movie, take up cross stitch, knit. Just do something, but whatever you do, just stay at home this week, okay?
Sounds like there's an impending meteor strike that's about to happen if you're not careful. Libra, you like bling, right? You're part corvid maybe, but something shiny is fun, right? And what's flashier than jewelry, right? Yeah, what could go wrong with earring promotions, right? Yeah, well, New York-based jewelry retailer Stone and Strand leaned heavily, I know, on that idea and went with the slogan, and again, quote, something for every hole. So this week, rope your sense of humor in at work this week. You might think it's harmless banter, but your delivery sucks. You're gonna get in trouble.
That was the one that I did yesterday, and you
Exactly
were
the same.
loving it. You were
Exactly the
loving
same.
it.
Exactly the same botch right there. It's not
Hmm.
learned. It's leaned. It's leaned. I can't read my own handwriting, even if it's on a Google Doc. Leave me alone.
Okay, Scorpio. You remember when Mickey D's or Rotten Ronnie's had something called snack wraps? You know what the slogan for it was? Open your snack hole. Yeah, someone thought that was a worthy slogan. Obviously, they didn't run that slogan past a room full of 12-year-olds to see what they thought of it. So this week, think about everything you do and say as if you were a preteen again. You're trying to be less cringy. We'd like you to be less cringy.
We can hope.
Hmm.
Sagittarius, you know how there's the idea of taking steroids when bodybuilding, how it can do bad things to your body and mind? Well, someone needs to check in with the nice folks over there at Reeboks and ask, who hurt you? They put out a slogan in print media, mind you, that says, cheat on your girlfriend, not on your workout. So this week, how about don't cheat on anything or anyone, Sagittarius? How's that sound? Should sound mighty freaking good right about now.
Capricorn. Originally yours was going to be Vadrina, and we'll let you look that one up on your own, but not at work. So how about you get a clean slogan? Something that you can drag along the carpet behind you while it whines and complains. Take a listen to this one. Nothing sucks like an Electrolux. And considering how nearly indestructible those things are, maybe they were right. So this week, there's an expression in IT that we've warned you about before, but you need to hear it again. All is known. Do not piss off the help desk.
Anyone that has worked IT knows full well all is known. No, I'm not going to tell you about the stuff that I've seen. It would be, in some areas, potentially illegal. Aquarius. We're betting that this slogan was penned while using the product in question. Quote, approach women like you do wild animals, with caution and a soothing voice. The product also reminds you to stay thirsty, my friends. The product Dos Equis, because beer. Oh, I'm sorry, malt beverage. It does weird things to the brain. So this week, drink more water. It's damn near hard Sundays. You need more water.
And Pisces. And if one beer slogan wasn't enough, here's one more. From the nice folks over there at coopers.com.au, that's Australia for all of you, they had a slogan that said, the beer that beer would drink. Coopers is an Australian company that's been around for over 160 years and owned by the same family. So maybe, just maybe, they actually know a little about how to market themselves. So this week, if you do something stupid, but it works, it's not stupid. Get over yourself.
We had a very long discussion about that part last night, but it's kind of hard to argue with if it's stupid, but it works. Is it really stupid? Those are your horrible scopes for this week. Remember, if you like what you got, don't really much care. But if you'd like a nicer one or a naughtier one for yourself or someone else, you can always ask by bribing me. Because asking is bribing me, because vanity. I'll have these posted at the end of the week. Tumblr, Twitter, Facebook, Discord, Blue Sky. Those Blue Sky invite codes on the thumb drive are still here. It's perfectly fine. It's broken. Okay, you know what? Nobody wants to buy it, so I'll take a couple of kumquats and shipping from Canadian money. Nobody wants it anyway, so it doesn't really much matter. It's fine. It's fine. I see how it is. This is episode 495 on the docket, Your Honor. Regulators. Mount up. Oh my freaking Lord. So, something came across social medias for me, and I know it's showed up for a lot of other folks. The Federalist Society has decided that they're going to go ahead and have at someone who is considered a national, and in some ways international, treasure, a one Ms. 78-year-old, 78, Dolly Parton. Because her attitude of just love everybody, be yourself, be who you are, apparently rubs them the wrong way, which I guess has got everything to do with the fact that they've... I was going to use a really poor expression, and I'm not going to do that, because for the moment, I'd like to think that I'm a little bit better than that. Only just a little bit better than that. So I'll start off by saying, Federalist Society, A, who didn't hurt you enough because you're obviously a bunch of masochists to have done this to yourselves. What the hell, man? Io, did you happen to read the news article that's in the show notes about this? Or better yet, if not, what have you seen? What have you heard? How many people do you want to go ahead and backhand because they richly deserve it right about now?
I actually posted one of the YouTube links about somebody's opinion on the attack. So, yeah, you just, we ride at dawn. We ride at dawn.
Yeah, it's definitely one of those things where it's like, the hell are you people thinking? What are you smoking? Why would you do this? So yeah, let's remind folks of some of the things that Dolly Parton has done that has helped just immensely. Well, okay, let's completely bypass over the Dolly Parton Civil War reenactment thing back in the 70s. You know, kind of like the medieval times, only for the Civil War thing. It was supposed to have been a friendly, nice kind of thing. It hasn't exactly aged well. You can easily find the TV ads on YouTube if you go looking a little bit. So I mean that she meant well. She meant well, so I won't hold that entirely against her. But things like, oh, I don't know, making sure that all children are able to get free books to read for like years for nothing, just for asking. I mean, yeah, you could go to a library, but if you're in a situation where, libraries are inconvenient for whatever reason, you can sign up somebody's kid to get books from Dolly Parton's. I forget exactly what it's called, but an opportunity for that to like keep kids reading, start them off young, so that they develop reading properly. I mean, that's a great piece right there to be able to do, and she's done that for thousands upon thousands of kids over the years. Um, let's also remember that she was a singer for a very, very long time. She's been a singer. She's had another album that came out pretty recently, as a matter of fact. But when she made her breakout into movies, her big break was in a movie called 9 to 5. And she was so innocent that when they were going to begin filming, and I don't know if anybody knows about this, normally when you're doing film, motion picture, you memorize the part of the script that you're going to be shooting, because you only shoot, maybe a couple of pages a day, because, there's a whole bunch of setup and relighting. You got to get everything ready, got to get the blocking, got to figure out where the film's going to be, where the camera's going to be, however many cameras, usually one, maybe two. Get everything set up so that, the boom operator knows where the boom mic is going to be so it doesn't end up in the shot. It happens every once in a while, but whatever. She memorized the entire script, everyone's part, by the time she got to the first day of shooting. She had memorized everybody's part. And everybody else that was a pro there was thinking, this is adorable. Look at what you're doing. You didn't have to do that, but I mean, yeah, it's cute. And that was like the only nasty thing that anybody had to say about her. And to me, I think before the Federalist Society, that was the nastiest thing that anybody had ever said about her. That she overdid what she was doing because she thought that's what you had to do. And she was ready. Because as a performer, especially as a musician, you go out on stage, you're doing you go into the studio, you've got sheet music in front of you, okay. But you go out and you don't have sheet music in front of you, you have to know everything. she did what she thought she was supposed to do. It made perfect sense to me as someone that's been a musician. So,
Here's a couple things she's done. I'm just scrolling through
oh, it's a great list, isn't it?
a list on Twitter. Dolly Parton gave $500 to every student in her hometown who finished high school. She's built hospitals and bald eagle preserves. She helped fund the COVID vaccine. And since 1995, her Imagination Library has gifted nearly 300 million books to children. She is a gem. Dolly Parton is trending because the fools at the Federalist are going after her. So I'll just leave this here since they want to hate. If you come for the queen, you best not miss. The picture is about Dolly and Whitney Houston. Dolly Parton invested $10 million royalties from Whitney Houston's cover of I Will Always Love You into historic Black Nashville neighborhood. Like Moderna vaccine, investing into communities that really, really need it. What more can you say? Especially the children.
Yeah,
Here, have a book, have a book, have a book.
yeah. It's
And they went after her.
now the thing of it is, and some have pointed this out. Dolly Parton is so respected and so beloved in overall society that it goes beyond her area of musical expertise of country western. She's okay, admittedly her musical stylings have crossed over to various other areas. She has been a songwriter. Again, I Will Always Love You was written by Dolly. Whitney Houston had done several covers of other people's stuff also. The Greatest Love of All, for instance, was originally written by George Benson. And to hear him sing it, it's just a lovely piece, regardless. But her, arguably for me, the greatest piece of music that she had done was not the cover of Harper Valley PTA, which hers is a cover, by the way. It's a great cover, but it's still a cover. The greatest piece of music I have ever heard, because it's not computer perfect, was her original recording of the song Jolene. Now, of course, it's been played, like crazy, and it's been covered like crazy. But if you listen to the original recording from, I believe it was 1967, I've forgotten off the top of my head what year it was released, the single in the mid 60s. If you listen to the 45 single, but slow it down to the 33 and a third LP speed, and there are easy ways of doing that. If you take the song file and you bring it into a free sound editing program called Audacity, it's got presets so that you can actually change the speed of a piece that you've got there and automatically go from 45 to 33 or 33 to 78 or whatever. If you slow it down and listen to it, her musicality in her voice, and reminding you that she's not only doing the melody but the harmony voices behind it, it's not pitch perfect every moment, but my God, the woman was absolutely gorgeous to listen to. And it pulls it out more when you slow it down so you can hear the pitches in a different area, because there is a different timbre to it because of that. It's simply a gorgeous piece. I cannot stress enough.
Quote from Dolly: "A family is a family whether you're a gay family or a straight family. If that's your family, you should be treated with the utmost respect, and we do that no matter what. I say I am a good Christian, or I say a good Christian wouldn't be judging anyway. We're supposed to love and accept each other."
Now, here on the show, of course, traditionally we would have a little bit of disagreement about what a good Christian would do. Because good, it depends as to where you're saying a good Christian is. Now, if you're saying it in the terms of a good person who is Christian, that's different from a person that adheres very well, very tightly to the Christian doctrine as ascribed by their holy book. That type of good Christian, that then gets into two different forks. Are you a good Christian who follows what the book says? Or are you a good Christian who follows what the book says back from before they changed it in the mid 1800s?
Are you following the teachings from Christ or of Christ? From Christ, be kind to one another, treat the sick, heal the sick,
Feed those who
forgive
are
debts.
hungry.
Yes, versus what his disciples and the people afterwards, the editors, did to the Christ story. Just, ugh.
Yeah, famously, somebody I saw a stitched TikTok vid which came through on my Tumblr. Yeah, I've got a Tumblr. Shut up, leave me alone. Tumblr, yeah. Um, where this Baphomet. Oh God, I gotta remember to find that and link that in for show notes later. A little Baphomet puppet who is reading from a specific passage from two different modern Bibles, and then hauls out this giant Bible from like 1860, whatever the hell it was. And I mean, big ass Bible. I mean, big ass Bible. And to the point where, it falls on the countertop and it thumps and is picked up by the National Geologic Survey and reads the passage. The modern ones are do not have man lay with man because it is an abomination. Do not have man lie with man as with woman because it is an abomination. And the two of them basically say the same thing. I'm paraphrasing because I don't remember the exact, but you pull out the big ass one from the 1860s and do not have man lie with child as would lie with a woman because it is an abomination. And the Baphomet puppet's basically like, so who's gonna go ahead and question why your shit was changed around? That's a really good question, I think.
I saw that on Discord a couple of days ago. I did like it when I was on my TikTok. So it's on TikTok. I, I'll dig for it after the show.
As we do.
Yep, I will dig for it.
But if nothing else, I want to find out a little bit more about that Baphomet puppet, because if that's the beginning of a rabbit hole to go down, oh boy, it's gonna be a lot of sleepless night for me at that point. I mean, I've kind of recharged considering I got a lot of hours of sleep last night. Be that as it may, the idea that there is somebody who is revered this much as Dolly. There are only a handful of people that I can remember in my lifetime where we have believed that they were worth that level of white knighting. And it's kind of weird to think of it because we generally speaking, we don't think of reverence to a person in the same way that some cults do. We very much do not like to think that we are in a cult. We actively try to make sure that we're not in a cult a lot of times. We atheists, and I'm using a very broad brush here because just because you're an atheist doesn't mean that you think really well. I mean, look at me. I would very much like to believe that there is an afterlife, but I can't believe that there is because I firmly believe that if there were, my wife would have already made a way of getting in touch with me because ain't no way in hell she could have been stopped. But that's me. So the names that immediately come to mind of ones who have been in life worth protecting from the slings and arrows like this. Obviously, Dolly is right now is the top of the list because she, stuff's going on. Ex-President Jimmy Carter. My God, one of the best people that has ever been in the public face. I would also like to say George Burns, but not quite as much. Lovely person, but I cannot ever see anyone ever going after him, back in his lifetime. But Betty White.
Yeah, no. Betty
No,
White was, yeah.
Betty White was. If you wanna go ahead and look back in the day of when the race relations were poor, and she did nothing but stir the pot to make sure that everybody got what they deserved on both sides. Oh yeah, Betty was absolutely one of those people. When she had, in the 50s, when she had her show, and reminding you, a woman having their own show as top billing in the 50s, that didn't really happen, but it worked for her. When she had people of color on her show, and I'm using that expression because I'm trying to remember if she had Native American or Asian. I know full well African Americans were on her show, but I don't remember what else. But so I'm kind of broadening it just a little bit. People of color on her show in performing. If memory serves, I believe it was the Ink Spots in particular. There were complaints. There were a lot of complaints that came in because, reminding you, 50s, early 50s. And there were a lot of them that said, if you don't, I'm not going to use the expressions that were used because if I don't have exactly the wording, I'm not going to paraphrase. But they basically said, you will get this group off of your show. You will not show more of them, or we will stop watching, or we will stop supporting your show. And she famously, and again, paraphrasing highly here, basically said, "Screw them. I'm doing the right thing, and I'll have them on even more." And she did, because that's what you do. She didn't give two shits, man, and she knew how to get her way. She knew how to get her way, and my God, was she good at it. She was good at it.
I don't remember much of the show, probably because my mother didn't like country music that much and didn't watch it. But I do remember a couple of times watching it and loving it. And my Google flu is failing me right now.
What is it that you're trying to figure out?
I'm trying to find the Baphomet puppet.
We'll get it. I'm sure.
It's so good. I loved it, and I thought that I had liked it, but TikTok is being TikTok.
It doesn't surprise me. And Seeker is also pointing out Carol Burnett.
Yep.
Yeah. Carol Burnett also just did not give two craps, man. She made sure that stuff worked out the way that it did. There were so many.
Gene Roddenberry, although Nichelle Nichols had to go speak with Martin Luther King.
Well, all right. So let's back this truck up just a little bit because it slides into this. Star Trek, famously one of the few TV series that ever got two pilot episodes, two completely different pilot episodes. And that was very specifically because of Lucille Ball, or at that point, was it Lucille Ball? Yes, it was still Lucille Ball. Um, and her production company of Desilu, that was the company that originally started it, was originally folded into Paramount. But Lucille Ball believed so heavily on Star Trek being worthwhile that after they put out the money to film the very first pilot episode, which was the Menagerie, and NBC, all the networks, they said no, and NBC famously said it's too cerebral. It was too much a thinking show. Well, fine. She went ahead, and she, being at the head of the company, said, "No, we'll do it again. We'll do a different one, and we'll sell it." And they did. It's the reason why Star Trek continued to even existed. She is the godmother of modern science fiction as we know it. Now, yes, the cast had it was very Caucasian centric. I mean, admittedly, but it was also very famously fairly integrated. The first officer was from an alien culture entirely. The helmsman was Asian. The navigator was Russian eventually. And the head nurse, okay, the yeoman, the personal assistant, yeah, okay, they were female. I get that. But famously, the second in command, if I remember right, was the communications officer, who was African American, or portrayed by an African American. Her canonical story for the character, if I remember right, she was African, and I can't remember where she was supposed to have been from. But she was a dark-skinned woman in a position of authority. She was an officer on the bridge. And yes, she was thinking about quitting the show, Nichelle Nichols, because she kind of felt like she was just a switchboard operator and had very little to say and do. And as Io just mentioned, yes, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. spoke with her about that. And
he said, "What are you talking about?" The actress explained. "I told him," he said, "you cannot, and so help me," this man practically repeated verbatim what Gene said. He said, "Don't you see what this man is doing? Who has written this? This is the future. He was established us as we should have been seen. 300 years from now, we are here, we are marching, and this is the first step. When we see you, we see ourselves, and we see ourselves intelligent and beautiful and proud."
yeah,
You turn on your television and the news comes on and you see us marching and peaceful. You see the peaceful civil disobedience and you see the dogs and the fire hoses, and we all know they cannot destroy us because we are there in the 23rd century.
yeah,
So those are her own words.
yeah. He basically said, look, you being there sends the message that we will get here. It will not necessarily be an easy road, but we will get down that road and we will be there. And you're a symbol
I
of that.
I saw her at two conventions. I saw her at a creation convention and I saw her at a local science fiction convention. And at the creation convention, I actually handed her a Nigerian coin because I had a coin collection from across the world. And my mother's friends would go on vacations wherever. They'd come back, they'd dump their change on me. I loved it. Uhura was from Nigeria, from what I remember. So that's why I gave her the Nigerian coin. And she loved my costume at the science fiction convention. She actually commented on it. The funny thing was the Concom was smart. They put her private suite right across from hospitality so that anytime people saw her walking the hallways, they thought she was going to hospitality when she was actually going to her private suite or coming from hospitality. How do I know this? Because I spotted her actually coming out of her private suite.
Well, there you go. Um,
Hmm.
I'm looking up some of the information on Wikipedia. Of course, her name comes from Swahili. So I don't. Trying to find it really quickly. I can't seem to really locate it. So it definitely comes from Africa very specifically. But she she was a beacon that really showed, you know, we will be here, and it. The thing of it is, and the thing that I love about that is, it's not an it's not a directly spoken in your face kind of thing. It's a we will be here because I'm here. It's the meta part of it all. It's just the visual representation, and my God, how much that makes a difference.
She told us about two things when she did her speeches at the two different conventions.
Hmm.
She did the same speech at both conventions because she obviously knew that the fans would be asking the same questions over and over and over again. One of them was that her actually dancing naked? She tap danced around that answer. So technically yes, but it could have been her body double. Maybe it was her, maybe it wasn't her. It definitely was her for the close up.
Sure,
But
which is easy to do.
she completely tap danced around it. The other thing was part of her talk with Martin Luther King Jr. Was that he actually told her that she had to stay there because she was essentially third in command. If something happened to Kirk and Spock, do you think McCoy was going to come up from medical? No. Do you think Scotty was going to come up from engineering? No. In rank, Uhura was number 2 on the bridge.
And the thing is, yes, it took the cartoon series for it to show, but she did eventually have direct control of the bridge. To the best of my recollection, in the live action, she didn't, but in the cartoon series, oh, she absolutely did. And if memory serves, I do believe it was the Lorelei syndrome. I could be misremembering the title, but I remember Lorelei was in there. And it was basically a story about how the space sirens took control of all the men's minds, and all the women on board had to take over all the command functions, and they beat it out when the guys couldn't do that. So, I'm I'm not going to go ahead and say, girl power, but at the same time, she was given the command that she deserved.
It
And
was the Lorelei signal.
signal. Thank you. See, this is what I was really good at, making sure that I know what the hell I'm talking about.
Well, I also found the Bible thumping TikTok. It's not the original creator one. That video's been taken, but it's the one that was actually posted in general chat
Huh.
just above show notes.
Well, I'll have to.
I have the ability to mute my mic at my headset or at the computer. Muted it at the computer, listened to it, came back, and it was found. And there. This is what I've been doing for the last couple months. Every time you have this show,
Well, I appreciate that. I grandly appreciate that, because it's a little tough for me to go looking up stuff without having tappity tappity in the microphone and no, knowing where to go and all that. It's the way it works. Anyhow,
and that cough is my other half. I'm, like I said, I'm sitting at my computer, not at the broadcasting computer.
that's all right. Um, and Seekers also pointed out, like I said, pointed out Carol Burnett. Yeah, great. And saying, talking about all the lovely ladies, Heretic Woman comes to mind. Yeah, yeah. There is not there's not a week goes by doing the show that I don't think about her and miss her terribly. And part of it hurts. Part of it is just very much a try not to laugh at it, because she's left a mark. She's good people. In any case, back onto it. Dolly is good people. And it's really hard for me to square the circle of why would anybody come after her? And the thing of it is, the Federalist Society, what their article reads down as is they're not going after her for something that she said in response to anything. They're not reacting to her reaction. They're reacting to who she is. And my God, there is an expression, and I'm going to end up paraphrasing it because I can't remember exactly what it is, which is live your life such that right-wing wackaloons will decry you at every turn. And I'm highly paraphrasing it, but I mean, I don't have a problem with this idea whatsoever, because that sounds like a good proper goal to me.
Proper goal. It costs nothing but maybe a little bit of time to be kind.
Yeah, and
And she's the Satanist of kindness.
yeah, yeah, and
Satanist of kindness.
yeah, and I think we've overall said it before. You know, if there were people who were good people but were Christian, and by good people meaning ascribed to the concept of do as little harm as possible, rise up those who are downtrodden, protect the innocent, and reduce world suck, you know what? I wouldn't have a problem with anybody that wanted to, you know, try to work towards everything and anything that they wanted to in their personal lives if they ascribed to these ideals. I mean, the nice the nerd fighter groups out there for Crash Course, which, by the way, uh, John and Hank, you know, nerd fighters, you know, unite. The idea that they ascribed, the slogan that they used, reduce world suck. How great a singular concept that is. And Dolly has definitely shown that to be the case, just in the way that she is. And if you're attacked for just being like that, what the hell, man? What does that say about a group that would want to attack someone because they say, just love each other, damn it? I
Says
just don't get it, you know?
it says that they actually want reasons to hate. That's all I can think of.
Yeah. Yeah, it's exactly that. And why? You know, that's really the biggest question to me. Why go out of your way intentionally hating? And unfortunately, there's a really bad answer that I've got for part of that, and I'd love to get your input on it, for exactly the reason of what we've got now. Because bad press is still press.
I think the quote you're actually looking for is that there's no such thing as bad press.
Yeah,
And like the that old guy that is 34 and counting, um he's in the news all the time and people can't stop talking about him. And he's forefront of people's minds. What happens if he goes back into the Oval Office? What happens? What's he going to do? What's going to happen? But can he? You know, and that's been on the news for the last several years. And that was even before he went for his first term. He was constantly on people's minds, even back in the 80s. I remember news reports about him. Like, just stop already. He's not worth it. He's a criminal. 34 counts and counting. Just.
Felony, very specifically.
Mhm. So, to attack Dolly would be to make him look better.
The and Seekers also pointed out delay. Yeah, we'll see how that plays out. I'm very much expecting that in mid-July we'll be definitely hearing the yelling and screaming of, well, the much muted by now yelling and screaming of a smaller select vitriolic group when they try to find half-size handcuffs. I really am, however, wondering if, like I said, the even bad press is press kind of thing is one of those ways for the Federalist Society to do the whole dog whistle thing, to get more attention for themselves, for those that have been out there and on the sidelines because they are that type of personalities, that they have been ostracized because they are basically shit people. And it's just another way to pull in more shit people, you know, to become the charismatic leader for their group. I mean, I don't know how else to really describe it.
He's. He just wants to be in everybody's mind in order to make people think and question whether Biden is actually a competent president. Biden makes small gaffes and it's treated like, oh no, oh, it's horrible. 34 counts of felonies. 34, and counting. It's going to go up. I know it's going to go up. And it's like, oh, yeah, that's no big deal. It's just a witch hunt. No, he actually did that shit.
Yeah, and let's also remember, as we said last time, as I think I said last time, that whole thing could have been derailed by even one person holding out. And even I think there were one or two or three who said that they were getting their news from things like Truth Social or One American Network or whatever serious right-wing propaganda arm of whatever group it is, and all of them voted guilty across the board, which means, you know, not a single one of them could, in good conscience, presumably, you know, change that outcome. So yeah.
And they try to intimidate the jurors, they tried to intimidate the prosecution, even the judge and their families. There's going to be a whole lot of other issues and court cases because of all this.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think for me, the greatest part about this whole thing at the moment has got to be the fact that if he is not jailed, but given house arrest, Where is his domicile in New York? Do you remember?
Trump Tower?
But the problem of it is, isn't Trump Tower to be sold if he won't pay E. Jean Carroll?
Please sell it faster. Trump
Who?
Tower in Trump Tower in Vancouver, there was actually protests about the name Trump Tower, and I think it was renamed. I don't know. That happened or was in the process of happening shortly after I moved down to the States or came for a visit, whatever. But, you know, he's going to lose all of his property. That family is going to lose everything.
Yeah,
The forensic accountants are going to go through everything and say, no, this was actually owned by your dad and his companies, and it's going to be sold now. Sorry, kids. Sorry, grandkids.
yeah, and the thing that gets me about this, like I said, is if it's going to be sold, I think it would be sold, quote unquote, sold to E. Jean Carroll, and by that I mean she is the one that would be the beneficiary of so much of that money. She effectively owns it, which means if he has to pay rent to the property owner, I wonder who gets paid.
In 2020, the Trump International Hotel and Tower in Vancouver closed. Over 250 employees were already laid off because of COVID, blah, blah, blah. Minor rebranding reopened in April 2022 as the Paradox Hotel. So who still owns it?
Don't know. Don't know. We'll let all that be figured out by people who are forensic accountants. And as an aside, as someone who knows someone who is a forensic accountant, um, you know how in the horrible scopes the expression from IT is all is known?
Mm-hmm.
Oh baby, all will be known. And I do not say that lightly. Forensic accountants? I
Sooner or later, the tax man cometh for everyone, and it's going to cometh hard for Trump and his company because it's not just a tax man, it's also all the settlements and all of the court cases, all those people that he hasn't paid over the years. Oh, we've only paid you a partial amount. Well, we're not going to pay you the entire thing. Just think of it as exposure.
yeah, yeah, it's gonna be it's definitely gonna be one of those things. Now, okay, I know we're completely down a completely different rabbit hole. Don't worry, we'll come back to it because we gotta get this ranting out of the way. Um, when my wife was alive, she would say, and I'm saying it that way because I know full well, she can't say it now because she's dust. She had told me, in business, document, document, document. And there were a couple times where she did that and she had print out some stuff because it saved her ass. Because it's just kind of the way that it works. Well, see now when you're a criminal enterprise and you document, that gets you into trouble really fast. But if you think that you haven't documented stuff, but somebody has somewhere, yeah, those big cork boards with the pins in them and the red thread that goes all over the place. Yeah, forensic accountants will find everything. And I can't wait to hear it when it happens because we'll only hear a fractional part of all the stuff that they will find out. And when we do, trust me, that iceberg is so deep. It'll be fun. Obviously, we won't get all the stuff, but you know what? It'll be fun to hear. Well, forensic scientists, forensic accountants have found, and at that point, it's just going to be like, you know what? Done. I don't need to hear anything more. They did their job, and somebody's leaked just a minor fraction, a thimbleful, not even. Oh yeah, that's going to be worth it.
It's going to be so worth it.
Yep.
And if I know anything, the posse that is riding out for the Federalist, they're going to have some fun. They are going to go and dig and dig and dig. You know, the white hat hackers, the black hat hackers, the gray hat hackers. They're going to find things about the Federalists, and it's going to come to light, and people are going to go, "Oh, really? And you went after Dolly?"
Yeah.
I can't wait.
Yeah, decry it as much as we want to. I remember some years ago, and this is not typical of everything, but there was a story some years ago that there were pictures or short video of some people who were literally drowning puppies in a bag, or stuff like that, and it made its way to 4chan. I know. Give me a second though, and the people of 4chan, say what you will about them in general context, they collectively said, and they tracked down everything about that clip or pictures or whatever the hell it was. I forget exactly the particulars of it, but they found out who it was. They found out where they were. They found out all of the different pieces from just little bits. And they tracked these sons of bitches down and had local police come down and find all the stuff about them. And they paid. So if you think that the whole doxing idea is wrong in all cases, yes. But using the information to make sure that the local constabulary can do the job that they need to do when it's richly deserved? I don't know. You want to call that gray hat? Sure, I'll go with that. I'll stipulate to that much. But when somebody's crossed the line, there is a line that needs to be crossed back. So, with that having been said, let's kind of touch base with the Federalists. I don't know quite as much about them as I probably should have to figure out about this, but the Federalist Society, over these years, I have never heard anything good about this organization. I've never heard anything good about them. It's always been right-wing. I want to say whack jobs. And I don't want to use expressions like that.
No, it's a good expression. It is. I just limped over to their website, and I'm not even going to say what I see on the front page. We ride at dawn.
Yeah. Yeah. There are certain things that you want to say that you are in favor of or you're against. You know what? That's fine. When you go ahead and you say that you are against how a person views the world, and their view is be nice to everybody that you can, be kind to everyone that you can, and you oppose that? Sorry, game on. Good luck. I do not feel at all bad about this. The blowback that they're going to get from the vast majority of the population, not just here in the United States, but likely around the world in so many areas. Oh yeah. Oh yeah. You can well bet there are going to be some areas in in the English-speaking regions, I should say, that are just going to be like, my dude, what the hell? Somehow I get the funny feeling that even though I have not researched it, I do truly believe that the Australian populace would very much come down on these guys and give them hell. I would not be at all surprised if they did it. And I couldn't tell you why. Just there's just something that just says to me, yeah, they would definitely go after him.
I want to vomit reading what I see on their front page. I'm not linking it to show notes. I'm not doing anything like that because
No,
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 they don't deserve it.
no. The singular article that had to do with their vitriol against Dolly, and amongst others that were listed in there, if memory serves, I do believe that Dwayne Johnson, aka The Rock, was listed in there also for similar ideals. So, screw them. I have linked only the one article from their website. I do not advocate looking up anything beyond that. If curiosity gets to you, I get that. I'll respect that. But definitely don't recommend it.
Scrolling through their Twitter, I don't see anything about Dolly. Oh, there it is. June 6th.
Yep, that's the one that I linked. It's in the show notes.
They've got stuff against Pride. They've got stuff against anything that you can think of.
Yeah, and the funny part of it is, if you also go scrolling, doom scrolling really with them, do you see anything where they're promoting anything? Because what I was able to see, and admittedly it was just, a quick look through, I saw a whole bunch of against posts, but anything that was promotional, that was for, I didn't see anything in particular.
No, not even towards Trump.
But they're using all the same whistle calls, and that's what gets me. Stephanie had also asked, aren't they the ones that came up with the 2025 plan? The document on how to arrange the takeover of the U.S. government. She also put over there, do not read that unless you have a strong stomach. I have intentionally avoided looking it up directly myself.
I read a little bit of it, and yeah, you need a stronger stomach. I at least have a country I can flee to and take my spouse with me. But they want to stay here. And I understand that. But we could still flee if we wanted to and needed to. It's just...
I get that.
They want to turn women into baby factories from the time that they start menstruating until they stop menstruating. So, yeah, doesn't matter if the woman actually survives the pregnancy, just turn them into baby factories. Get rid of all of the quote unquote illegal immigrants. Nobody's illegal, they're just undocumented. Probably also send all the DACAs back to the countries that they were born in. It's not their fault that their parents brought them and didn't do all the stuff that they were supposed to do. It's not their fault. It's... dismantle the education system. I stopped reading it. This was a couple of months ago. And it just... No.
Yeah. Seeker's also asking, did you catch Aaron Project 25 vid? I don't know what that is, so I'm going to say no. I did not see this. I don't know what it is. So, be that as it may.
Building now for conservative victory policy, personnel and training. The actuals of liberal politicians in Washington state or in Washington have created desperate need, and it kind of it's not enough for conservatives to win elections if we're going to rescue the country. Oh boy, yeah. Yeah, no, 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 no. Also not something that I'm going to put into show notes.
Yeah. And Seekers also pointed out Aaron Ra's video. I have not seen. I did not know. So yeah, we'll kind of leave it there for the moment. Let's just take.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
there's a there's a meme that's got several science fiction books. One of them is, or movies for that matter. One of them Soylent Green, 1984, and a bunch of others. And it basically puts "You Are Here" right in the center. Which way are we going to go?
Yeah.
I think I'd like to go the other direction.
Yeah. Right. The piece I was gonna kind of guide us into for a couple seconds is to try to kind of bring an uplift at this point, because I want to end up with an uplifting idea, goals to look forward to, if you will. And one of them is to recognize that, like I said, like we kind of opened with earlier, one of the things that Dolly was incredibly famous for was that book campaign of hers to get books into the hands of children who need it, because it was asked for. Not because people could pay for it. Payment had nothing to do with it. She just did it because she could. Because she amassed so much money that she's used it to invest into kids. I mean, $500 a head for the kids who graduated high school. I mean, that's no small amount of change. I mean, that adds up. But the fact that she could do it, great. She could do it. Wonderful. So proud of you, hon. And books, get them bought, get them shipped. What do you want back? Nothing. Just, here you go. Just be a good person. Learn. All right. Education at a young age is so incredibly important. It's one of the reasons why one of the most beloved TV shows for education that was directly aimed for the inner city communities on broadcast television for free, mind you, Sesame Street. I've talked about this before, that I grew up with Sesame Street. Sesame Street and I premiered, if you will, in 1969. I was the beginning of the year in March. They were near the end of the year in September. We grew up together. But Sesame Street had, if memory serves, like 2 years of information planning before it premiered in order to find out, how do you learn? How
And
do
not
children learn?
and not just how do you learn, but also how do you make it so that adults watching as well could enjoy it.
Yeah,
It wasn't just for kids.
it wasn't
And
insipid.
the stupid thing is, the first few seasons now are not for kids today. That first little girl goes up to, I think, George, one of the adult male black characters, because she's lost and he takes her into his home in order to calm her down.
Gordon.
Gordon, yes, Gordon. And that apparently is no longer able to be broadcasted or shown to kids because, oh no, what if something bad happens to the kid?
Now, to be fair about it, in this current age where there is far and away more to worry about than there was, and there's reason to know this as a truism. I get that. Back when this show started in 1969, 1970, the way that we treated each other at the time was markedly different. You did have a higher societal trust than we do today. Totally get that. Totally understand that. So the idea of having young kids trust someone who is otherwise a stranger to them, yeah, you don't want to do that. But the problem now is that who can you trust? It used to be when I was a kid, don't trust a stranger, you trust the police. And
And
over the years, go ahead and say it because I know where you're going.
now you can't trust the police. You can't trust firefighters. You can't trust the ice cream man. You can't trust anybody except for maybe bikers, the Hells Angels and the other biker gangs.
Uh, the
Because,
the guys in the fire department, though, I think would, of all of them, would be the ones that I would trust first.
yeah, you actually do want to see the fire department coming to help you. You do not want to see the police coming to help you.
Yeah, because somebody pointed out the fire department. If the police department was worked the way the fire department was, you wouldn't need songs out there called "Fuck the Fire Department." There is a song "Fuck the Police," and that's two F's for the night for me. So there you go. I'm keeping score. You don't have anybody decrying the fire department because they're a bunch of screws. Imagine that. So things have changed over the decades. And Seekers also pointed out, yeah, people knew their neighbors. It's true. We did. A lot more than we do now. There unfortunately is a lot more, in some ways, fear because of the way that things are. And that sucks. It really does. But it has come to where we are.
We
And
used to be we used to be born and grew up and lived with the same people most of our lives.
mm,
Maybe 500 people, 1,000. And now, if you actually stay in the same area for more than 2 years, you're lucky. And yeah, I'm talking more renters and lower income households, but if you actually manage to stay in the same place for 2 years, you are very, very lucky.
yeah, Fuji and I were able to stay in the same apartment for, God, it was a long time before we had this place and moved into it. Um, there's another piece of it also that where we have where we have gotten now. All right, well, wait a second before I get to that. Stephanie's also pointed out, blame the motor car. When people did not have private transportation, they had to mix with others. That's there is that piece of it. Yes, I will not disagree. Um, but let's also remember that how society behaves towards itself has a lot to do with the economics. If people are in a good economic position where they don't have to be completely stressed out over every over every penny that they're dealing with. And I know you guys up over there in Canada. I know you're laughing. Maybe okay, that's good. Yeah, you get rid of your pennies. You know what? Shut up, shove it everywhere. That there is less overall societal stress, and since I'll say it, since 1980, the societal stress because of economics has absolutely exploded, and we can discuss and we can argue the possible reasons for that, Ronald Reagan, and we could try to figure out why things were the way that they were, Margaret Thatcher. I don't want to get into the economic problem of it all because the why doesn't matter. Fuck those people. And it matters more as to how do we fix so that societal stress comes back down, that we can all gather back with each other and not have to worry so much about other pieces.
Stephanie says that we could play on the streets safely. I remember having a 5-mile roam when I was 5 years old. I know that because I went to Google Earth and I traipsed out where I went, and it was a 5-mile roam. 5 years old. My my kid, okay, yes, my son. I got in trouble for letting him walk the 10 blocks home from school, and that was the long way. That wasn't with all the shortcuts. I got in trouble. He was 7 years old, so 2 years older than what I was. I thought it was great for him to have that little bit of independence. For that 10, 15 minutes, he didn't have an adult to actually supervise his every single move, every single motion, and he had that little bit of freedom. But apparently, according to the way the child service protectors are now, children cannot have that freedom. They have to be inspected,
Monitored.
supervised, monitored 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, from the time they're born until they're 18, 19, 20, 21, whatever age. And it has to be 24/7. And you, as a parent, don't get a break. You don't get your child doesn't get that chance to go and be a child and to make the mistake, to do the screw up, to investigate, to look, what is over behind that building over there? I'm going to go take a look. Kids nowadays don't get to do that. Kids nowadays don't get to climb trees. Kids nowadays don't go to parks. There are parks around here that are empty no matter what time of the day I go out. They might have kids if there's parents around, but they're never alone. And I find that really sad because I remember spending hours without my mother, without my aunts, my uncles, my grandmother, my grandfather, and I was easily a mile away from them at the park having fun, or one of the other parks, or somewhere. And when I moved from Ontario to Vancouver, BC, I had from the time I was 9 until I was 11 kilometers to get to school on city bus, not school bus, city bus. I was independent. I was smart. I figured out how to do it on my own, and I did it. Kids today, no, you have to drive your kid to school. You have to drop them off. You have to pick them up. And if you can't do that, after school programs and Dolly, just by giving kids books, was giving kids that little bit of independence. And it could have been so much more. Yes, tree forts. I had a tree fort in Ontario and I had one in BC. And the one in BC lasted until the garage beside the fence was torn down. So until about 13, 14. And it was wonderful. We actually were able to climb up and go across the roofs of both tree forts, because the tree forts were right beside buildings. garages, sheds, whatever. And kids today can't do that.
No, no. And I'm looking it up. When I was a kid, I there we go. I would well, a good portion of it was because I was bullied. Not even joking. Not by a long shot. That so I would not take the school bus. And even though it was, I'm trying to remember, it was a half, no, it was almost a kilometer to my junior high school, just slightly over a kilometer to my high school. And I would walk or I would bike it because I didn't want to be dealing with somebody that was, well, that was bullying me. And I can't stress enough how much how much that sucked. Because it was, what are you talking about? What could be wrong? Just don't deal with them. Yeah, right. That didn't work. But if you're, if you believed, and people work with you and deal with the bully so that you don't have to when you're a kid, but that's a whole other thing. And I just looked it up. The longest distance that I ever did, without really saying much about it, on my bike was almost 3.5 miles, 5.5 kilometers along a highway. So yeah, it's definitely a different. It's become a different world.
I
And
walked 4 blocks to the bus stop in when I moved to BC, and then went up to where the bus station was, where I'd be catch the bus loop where I'd be catching a second bus, and there would be days because that bus went up to Simon Fraser University. So there would be days where the buses would not be able to get up and down the hill because engines were crap, where I would be so late for school, it'd be almost lunchtime by the time I got there, or so late coming home from school, my mother would come and find me at sitting there at the bus stop waiting. Nobody cared. I was just kid waiting for the bus.
don't know, man. Don't know. Um, Seeker Sing was a 20-25 minute bike ride to the new elementary and junior high. Totally get that. But elementary school for me, yeah, I rode the bus because, I mean, just, as far as I was concerned, little kid riding a bike, a one speed bike, by the way, up to where my elementary school was. No, no. If it was all local roads, wouldn't be a big deal. But no, big 2 lane, not quite highway, major thoroughfares. No, kids shouldn't have to deal with that kind of thing. But that's me. Um, and as far as other bike stuff, or bus stuff, kind of leave that aside. There's other stuff, but that's a whole other piece. Um,
Yeah.
I think we're getting close enough to the top of the hour that I feel good enough, comfortable enough to close off over here. Um, as always, I'll give you as the guest a opportunity to say whatever closing piece you'd like to for overall topic.
It's something that's happening online. basically, if I end up being the number one performer at this online festival, because I DJ, if I end up being the number one performer again just in hours, I'm going to be having words with people at up the food chain, as in probably the person that actually owns the company. Because I know of people that are supposed to get invites that haven't gotten their invites. And I've done it twice so far. If this becomes a third time, it's gonna go up the food chain. I know it's just a little thing, but yeah. The other thing that I would rant about would be about the American system of immigration and citizenship. Other countries, if one of your parents has the citizenship of that country, you have it automatically. United States, no. Especially if you were born during the Vietnam era, the Korean War era. No, you don't have it, not automatically. There was a news report recently that I saw where a man in his 60s found out he wasn't a citizen and therefore he hadn't been eligible to vote all these years. So he has to go through immigration in order to get his citizenship. So, yeah, other countries, you're automatically a citizen, but not the United States.
Don't
And thank
know.
you for having me, Shu.
I appreciate you even wanting to go ahead and do it. And I'm also very glad that we didn't end up with a troll who decided to pop in. So kudos there. Let me go ahead and finish this off this way. Again, as a broad stroke, we atheists do not hold reverence the same way that theistic people do. We have people, we have ideals that we respect grandly in some ways. We respect, some of us respect religious organizations. Very specifically, one, or at least I respected very highly, the Satanic Temple. I like what they do. I admire what it is that they're doing, what their ethos is. The 7 tenets of the Satanic Temple are wonderful pieces to ascribe to. A lot of it boils down to Wheaton's rule. Don't be a dick. Out of the billions of people that are out there currently, there are just a pitiful handful of those that we can easily say, I respect them, I revere them for the shining example that they have set out to be. And I will come to your defense if someone says that you're doing something wrong because they're wrong. Now, with that in mind, would I flip on a dime if I found out that Dolly was actually a monstrous personality and this was all a facade? Yes. But there's only one way to do that. And that would be to show me with incontrovertible evidence. Would I flip on a dime? Absolutely. Absolutely so. But it would take evidence. And that's the difference in our mindsets between those of us who are out here trying to do the right thing, the people who are out there fulfilling the position of being a cultist. The person that they revere, whoever it is, they can do no wrong, even with evidence showing incontrovertibly, that they have done wrong. That's the difference. Show me that I'm wrong. Show me absolutely, positively that I'm wrong. I will flip. But if you ain't got it. But if I show you and you refuse, you're a dick. Don't be a dick. So with that out of the way, I think now is about as good a time as any to go ahead and say goodnight, everybody. Thank you so much for being with us tonight. We hope that you found something worthwhile in all of our perspectives and you got something to think about for the week ahead. Everybody over there in the live chat, thank you ever so much. Seeker, Stephanie, Felis, appreciate you guys. And of course, I would be completely remiss if I did not then switch the Venn diagram to guest for tonight. Io, I appreciate you being able to be with us. Thank you for getting over whatever squee. And maybe just maybe we have you on a little bit more often. Thanks for being here.
De rien.
I don't know what that means.
That's French for you're welcome.
Oh, see, that's the problem. I don't speak white flag. Thank you. I'm sorry. I had to say it. Was that French or was that bastardized Canadian French?
That was French.
Good call. Sorry, that's the way it goes. Anyhow, as always, thank you all for being with us. We'll be looking forward to seeing you again. Hopefully I will not end up falling asleep again for, hours upon hours. If you'd like to join us for that next show, just take a swing. Got plenty of social media available for you to check out. You can hit us join us over on Discord. All the information should be in the show notes. If you'd like to be in touch with us otherwise, contact information is also over on the website, holycrapthevlogcast.com. I am debating whether it's reasonable to keep the website itself up and running. From a purely economic standpoint, things are incredibly tough for me. I do not know how much longer I'd be able to keep it running right now. I'm very much hoping for an upgrade in my finances in the very near future. So just be aware that I may need to change things on that. However, for the time being, it will continue surviving for a while yet. Phone number, if you'd like to leave us a message, that one at least is free. 859-HCTV-554, 859-4288-554. We'll talk to you again next week. So until the next time we're together, as always, I wish you all the peace I no longer have. I wish you the strength that I've learned. Wish you well. And of course, as always, 19 years later, my love, I am still in love. Matane Fujin. I love you. I miss you. Dream of me. Till the next time we're together, everyone, as always, good night.